If you have any sort of interest in urban legends, you've probably heard stories of the Loch Ness Monster, Mothman, or the Boogeyman. But have you ever heard of the Kalupalik, Jinminkin, and the Shamaran? Throughout the history of mankind, people have claimed to have chance encounters with elusive cryptids and mysterious beings, and sometimes can even tell you what to do if you run into them. Here are 7 urban legends you might not have heard of, here and around the world. United States, the Loveland Frog. The Loveland Frog, or Loveland Frogman, is a 4-foot-tall frog that walks on his back feet like a human being. His first sighting was in 1955 by a traveling salesman who, while driving late at night, saw 3 figures standing by Little Miami River in Loveland, Ohio. These figures had leather skin and frog faces. Interestingly enough though, unlike most cryptid tales, this one actually has an ending. Another sighting occurred in 1972 by a police officer. Ray Shockey said that he watched a creature that matched the description of the 1955 report crossing the road, and it was in the same area near Little Miami River. He sped off into the night in fear. Approximately 2 weeks later, another officer, Mark Matthews, encountered the same creature and, instead of driving away, shot it. He brought the body back to Ray to confirm that it was indeed the carcass of the animal he saw before, a large, 3-foot-long iguana whose tail was missing. Alaska, Inuit peoples, the Kalupalik. Seen as a possible attempt to protect children from icy waters, the Kalupalik is described as a half-fish, mermaid-like creature with black hair, scaly skin, and wearing an amauti, which is a parka made of caribou or seal skin with a built-in pouch so mothers can carry their babies on their backs. The story is that if a child wanders too close to the water's edge, she will snatch that child up, stuff them into the pouch on her back, and take them to her lair in the ocean depths below. Children are told to beware the sound of humming and the smell of sulfur, both of which are signs that the Kalupalik is near. It is also unclear if the Kalupalik is a singular entity or if there are multiple. Russia, the Black Volga. Here, we find another antagonist to innocent children. Not a monster, but instead, a machine. The Volga was a model of car produced by the Soviet Union. During that time, Cold War tensions were high, and to sell an image of decadence, the luxury car was driven by the Soviet elite. According to legend, the car would patrol the streets and lure children to its doors, and once those children were close enough, they would be spirited away, never to be seen again. Something that is worth noting is that the KGB, an oppressive Soviet security and foreign intelligence agency that was dissolved in the 90s, think Russian equivalent of the CIA, would drive these cars themselves, and the KGB would take dissidents of the Communist Party away to interrogate them, possibly sending them to labor camps, exile, or execution. Japan, Jinminkin. Jinminkin literally translates to human-faced dog, and is a mythical creature whose story originates in Japan's Edo period, or from 1603 to 1867. They are said to roam the streets at night, digging through garbage for food. They have even been known to chase cars like dogs. Since their faces are human, they do have the ability to speak, and will tell anyone that approaches them that they would like to be left alone. Although these odd dogs are sometimes seen as omens and have been reported to cause car accidents, they do not have a reputation for killing people directly, and are generally viewed as harmless. It would also be good to mention that there is a theory floating around out there that Jinminkin are really just Japanese macaque, or snow monkeys, which would explain their hairy bodies yet furless and human-like features. Namibia. Fish River Canyon. The second largest canyon in the world and the largest canyon in Africa, the Fish River Canyon is 100 miles long and takes tourists around 4 to 5 days to hike. It was also known to have been created by a giant snake, who on occasion ate the people at the time's livestock. Angry at this reptile's nuisance, the men set out to defeat the snake, attacking it with hunting dogs and spears and torches. As primitive as the method was, and as large as the snake did eventually die in battle, but not before thrashing about and rolling back and forth, leaving the large serpentine chasm behind. Pichtaco, Peru. Originating from the word pichte, meaning to cut into pieces, behead, or slaughter, the Pichtaco is sometimes described as the Peruvian boogeyman equivalent. He is always depicted as a man with Caucasian features, white skin, beard, green or blue eyes, wielding a knife, dressed in boots and a felt hat, riding a horse, or, in more modern times, driving a car. With this knife, he attacks unsuspecting victims and dismembers them, stealing their fat. Now, this detail might sound odd to whoever stumbles upon this video, but fat has been traditionally seen as one's life force to the Incans, of which some Peruvian natives are the descendants of. Another noteworthy detail is the fact that this so-called boogeyman is most certainly based on European colonization, which led to the downfall of the Incan Empire. Because of this sordid history between native Peruvians and European settlers, racism and classism have kept the Pichtaco and stories of its attacks alive and well for centuries. Shamaran, Iraq. And for our final urban legend, we will look at a tale as old as time: love, betrayal, and death. This is at least one version of the story of the Shamaran, a half-serpent, half-woman who lived in a cave. Jamazb, a man who stumbles upon the Shamaran in her dwelling, fell in love with her. For some time, these two lived together in this cave until Jamazb, feeling homesick, decides to return to his hometown. Before doing so, Jamazb promises the Shamaran that he will not tell anyone where she lives. Years later, the king of Jamazb's hometown, Tarsus, falls ill. His vizier learns that the king's illness can be treated by eating the flesh of the Shamaran. Jamazb, after it is found that he was in the Shamaran's lair at some point, was tortured by the king. Jamazb then exposes his former lover's location. Before being killed, the Shamaran says that whoever ate her tail would attain wisdom and live a long life, while her head only granted the consumer death. The king and his vizier ate the tail, while Jamazb, stricken with grief and guilt, eats the head. The king and vizier die, while Jamazb gains wisdom. Thank you everyone for watching. Good night.